There it is.
Hi. We just turned it on.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
You just turned it on.
We just turned it on and it was like no signal. We're like, what?
Yes. Big old hurry up and wait.
Yeah. So what did we title this video, Josh? Do you remember?
It was answers to week 3. I think I finished writing the title. If I didn't, I apologize.
In the beginning, it just said answers to.
Well, I had all the intentions of finishing it, but Steph kept distracting me with her desire to tell me everything that happened today.
There's a lot of good things
in the last
that
like
happened.
50 years. So.
We're here to answer your questions. So Jesse enjoyed both posted questions for the week 3 exercise, which was to go up to inspiring couples that inspired you in their love, and ask them questions, because questions are the answers. When you really learn the deep details of how certain things work, then your world works better too. So there's right. Jesse. Hi, Jesse. We're going to be answering your questions, and then we're going to answer Joy's also.
Sorry, I had to move this terrible screenshot of Steph.
I was like...
I can't... Oh, it's too much. You keep talking, I'm just going to find her screenshot.
Okay. I mean, you can change the page.
I don't know if you're, like, stuck on that.
Okay. Oh, no. I didn't mean close it.
You got to be specific. That's what happens. You're about to see us work through a moment right now.
This is going to answer one of your questions.
So that erase your video forever?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I just needed that page.
Ah, sorry.
So, okay, it's okay. Okay, so question number 1, Jesse asked, do you fight? Yeah, I think that answered it. Yes, we do fight. Yes. We fight, yeah, pretty regularly, I would say.
It's not really a fight, though. It's usually Steph is getting mad at me for stupid things.
No.
That's pretty much what it comes down to.
I would say we fight. Yeah. But
we fight.
And I think it's healthy to fight. It just depends on what kind of fighting you do. So there can be really unhealthy fighting, and there can be healthy fighting.
Yeah. Well, and I think maybe instead of trying to make fighting okay, to me it's looking at fighting as, well, there's an opportunity to grow there. I don't think fighting is the catalyst for growth in the sense that it needs to happen. It definitely doesn't have to happen at all. But I think if a fight does occur where it's an argument or some type of like engagement back and forth, and it's usually like triggering the opposite person and back and forth, then if both people are engaged in that way or just one person's engaged, there's obviously something there that gets to be addressed. So yeah, we fight, and I think when that does happen, we acknowledge it as a chance for us to grow. So I think some people perceive fighting as this is the end of a relationship, or this means that there cannot be a win-win created. But I think we look at a fight as an opportunity to create a win-win, so we use it as an opportunity to explore.
Yeah. Again,
that doesn't mean that fighting is good, but it means that if there is a fight, then use it for your advantage and grow.
Yeah, if you get in a fight, say a fight is a gift for growth.
Definitely.
Okay, number 2, how do you handle compromise? And she goes into detail, and she says, in a previous relationship, in a previous relationship, I felt I was doing things I didn't want to do. It felt like I was sacrificing my time to go places or to events I didn't really find fulfilling because they were important to my boyfriend.
Good answer. Gift in every fight.
I don't know if I was being selfish or if it would be different with my soulmate because our interests would align better, or I would want to compromise. So, how do you handle compromise?
I think for me, like, compromise might be something that I don't know. Compromise might be like a strong word there. Okay. Like, I think the word that comes up for me when I think of finding a good balance is like the win-win. So where both people win. So I feel like compromise, maybe like an old version of me would have thought compromise would mean to do something for somebody else, even though I'm not happy with it, but just do it and then let them, do something nice for me later, or hope that it comes back to me or something. And I'm sure I still do that to this day. Like, I do things that don't necessarily benefit me, and that would be a compromise. But if I was actually given that idea in the moment of what to do, or to make a decision, and it based on a compromise, then I would probably think, well, I don't want to compromise my best interest here, so thus I'm going to create a way that we can both win. If we can't both win, there's probably no reason to do it. I think it's better to not go that route. I think I'm answering this question. But if you end up in a scenario where you all of a sudden are like compromising your best interest and you're doing something you don't really want to do, or it's not aligning with your interest, then I think the higher road would be to have grace in that moment of that person and know that you're giving them a gift, and so allow a moment to give, to be a giving moment, and then you just know that it's not going to support you in the future, so just don't do it again. But if you find yourself in that moment, don't attach don't attach your emotions to it and start freaking out and getting all upset or being like really down about it, but just support that person, have grace, you know. The best I guess analogy comes up for me is if you were really into Star Trek. Let's use the Star Wars analogy again. You're into Star Trek, and somehow your loved one takes you to a Star Wars convention. You're like, these people suck, you know. And it's like this whole other world. You don't want to be there at all. You can't do both the same night, and you end up at the Star Wars convention, and you're a Trekkie. Then just make the best of it, have fun, and just, you know, really appreciate everybody for the being that they are. But that doesn't mean you need to go again the next time. You know, next time just go to your convention or do whatever. You know, whatever world supports you, whether, you know, it's playing tiddlywinks over checkers or baseball over basketball or whatever. Did I answer that question?
I think you did.
Did I go in a big rabbit hole?
Both.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the compromise is kind of a serious thing.
Yeah. What I would say to your question is that if you're going to have a relationship, then going into it, you two should both talk and say that... Good start. You should talk.
You should both talk.
Yeah, that was earth-shaking. So you should both go into it talking and have this honest communication, and to the point where you say to each other, if it's really not for me and not serving me, I'm gonna tell you. And it doesn't mean I'm never gonna go, but sometimes it's not gonna serve me, and sometimes it's not gonna be best for me.
Yeah.
Like sometimes sometimes I say things and I'm like, I want you to do this, or I want you to be there, and he's just like, I'm not gonna go. And it's like at the point where like immediately I'll hear it and I'll be like, oh, why won't you go? I really want you to go. I just want to be with you there, you know? But then I'll be like, no, I totally honor and respect the fact that he is saying what he needs for himself. And like this thing with me that I want him to go to, do I really need him, or do I want to crutch on him? And, you know, maybe if it's like, I'm like my first TV acting debut, like I'm going to be like, no, I really want him to experience that with me. But if it's like, I want you to go like shopping to go get a harness for our cat, and I just like want him to go just because I want companionship, and he's like, no, I have other things to do, then like I honor it, and I'm just like, okay, I don't really need him to go. It'd just be nice, but I can do it on my own. So vice versa, you know, have that communication early on where you're just like, look, I'm telling you that it's going to save you a lot of heartache and trouble and issues and pain in the future if you just early on in the relationship say, I'm going to communicate with you honestly. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. It might hurt them, but I'm just going to say what I need, because if I suppress it and I do what I don't want to do because of you, it's going to come out later and it's going to be ugly. Yeah,
well, and she ended that last comment before this one, but do you feel like you have to compromise a lot in our relationship? So I think that was what the real question was. We might have danced around it too much.
We danced.
But I actually just went straight to it. You danced.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's
but
what that was?
Yeah. I just went. And you're like. But I think the question, like, do you sacrifice a lot? Oh, sometimes the compromise is going to your event alone because it doesn't align with your partner's best interests. See, I like where you're going with that. I'm trying to process that real quick. Sometimes
Yes.
the compromise is going to your event alone.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And
It's you having grace on them as well.
yeah, like I think it really comes back to the idea that, at least what I truly believe, is that we are all whole individual beings. So this is me and this is Steph. And thus, when our worlds are together, they're amazing and aligned and awesome. And when we're apart, they're still amazing and aligned and awesome. It doesn't mean that we complete each other, but we definitely complement each other. And do we have to compromise a lot? To the question, a couple things up above. I feel like in the beginning we did when we were learning. At least I did. I compromised a lot because I didn't know that I could just tell Steph, "Here's the deal. This is me." And so it definitely can be part of a growing process for some people, learning just to speak your truth with confidence and still have love and grace. So I think the answer is now, no, we don't compromise a lot. We actually, if anything, focus on not compromising, but we focus on creating a win-win. And there's like a subtle difference there. Because if you get to a point where you're always trying to do what makes the other person happy, then I feel like you end up in this space where you do compromise your own well-being a lot. And I noticed we came to compromises a lot in the beginning of our relationship, but they were still, one person was giving.
I'm sorry, I just was thinking back to your little.
But one person was still giving more of their energy to that experience and not really wanting to be there, maybe.
And you can feel that.
Yeah, and so you've got to, like, if you.
So it's not going to happen there.
Yeah, heck yeah. So if you end up in that scenario, just make sure that you are being grace, and then have the conversation. Hey, I don't really enjoy that event or that scenario again, or I prefer not to be involved in that, but I love you. And if they just don't get that, then obviously they have some growing to do, and that's the world that they get to experience. So I hope that answered the right question.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, like, what you would say, too, would be like, that wasn't my jam, and maybe if you took a girlfriend next time, you would have more fun. And then I would sit there and I'd be like, damn, probably because Josh was a pain when he was there, because he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So, it's like, it is a win-win, or the win-win is like, you just find something that's good for both of you. Or I just wanted to give a quick example, too, was like today I was napping when Josh came home, and he was like, hey, can you take pictures for me before the sun goes down? We had like a very short amount of time. And I was laying there, and I was like, I thought to myself, do I want to take pictures for him, or do I want to keep napping? And in that moment, I was good, and I was like, I actually don't need to nap anymore, so I got up and I took the pictures for him. But honestly, if I felt tired and like I felt like sleeping, I would have said, I'm not going to do that right now. I just need to keep napping.
I thought to myself, if she says no, am I going to throw water on her right now?
No, but that's how we roll sometimes. Like, sometimes he's just like, I'm going to sleep in. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'll figure out another way to, like, record my video or whatever.
Yeah.
So, we can communicate now. I think that's the real answer is, if you have communication, you don't have to compromise.
Yeah, definitely.
So, next question. Do you ever feel jealous or insecure? I think the question is, do you ever feel jealous or insecure of the other person? I'm assuming. Is that what you're taking? Jesse's on the call?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Is that what you mean? So do you ever feel jealous or insecure? Again, early in the relationship, yeah, a lot. Not like crazy, but like there were definitely times when my insecurities would come up. It's funny you asked this because I was just talking about this with a friend last night. So my insecurities of Josh don't stem from not being able to trust Josh. My insecurities about Josh or any other man I've been in a relationship with, they come from my issues with my own worth that happened because of my dad. So not feeling fully like my presence mattered, or like, and this is all my perception with my dad. My dad is a super loving dad. He loves me so much, but he was in a lot of pain, so he like just couldn't handle stuff, so he was emotional, and I always thought that meant that I wasn't good enough, or I needed to be better. So because of that, I've taken into all of my relationships this like feeling of unworthiness, and then when I see something that might trigger that unworthiness in me, I think, oh, I'm not worthy of him, whatever.
Yeah. And
that used to happen often, and a lot in previous relationships before Josh. But now I would say I don't really experience that. I feel really like, because I've done so much work with my worth and my value and my deserving, sure, it'll pop up moments of just like, but then I'm like, oh, no, it's me. I'm the one. There's nothing to do with him. He's the most amazing man. Such an amazing man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for me, I personally like that question a lot because I think a lot of people
really
just deal with that. And in the beginning of our relationship, I felt a lot of insecurities or jealousy. But again, that was also based on me and my own issues, what I need to overcome. But I think the container wasn't there. Like, I actually tried to talk to Steph about it a lot. And she didn't really understand what I was saying half the time because she wasn't self-aware at the time. Or maybe the self-aware in the way that I spoke. Like the words she did, I didn't speak her language of self-awareness. She might have been more self-aware than I realized. So at the time, like, there wasn't a common ground to find. But I think that that's like the most important part of that is just being able to, again, have that communication to talk to your significant other and say, hey, I feel this way. Because, like, the reality is if you express that to them, like, hey, I feel like you're going to cheat on me, or I feel uncomfortable when you're around a woman, another woman, if it's, if it's Jesse, you talking to your boyfriend, then, and they kind of go out and just still use that against you to, like, make you feel bad or make you feel a little weaker or, like, inferior, or they maybe cheat on you. And either way, that's just them abusing their power, and that's not somebody you need to be with. So I think the feelings can be a reality, but talking about them and letting them go can liberate you from that extremely well. Because since we've been able to communicate on the same page, I now realize that everything I was thinking was made up in my head. Mm-hmm. And it was all coming from me. I had my own insecurities about my own life. And so just having that honest communication is, again, that's kind of the underlying theme of all this. If you have that honest communication from the beginning, and if people don't accept you, if you can't say to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, hey, I'm feeling this way right now, I just want to get it out, and then maybe work with you just to walk through it real quick to figure out it's all a story in your head, then they're not really in the right place to be with you. And if they receive that story, but then they turn around and cheat on you, then you know the truth, you know the answer. Like, get as far away from them as possible.
Yeah.
It's just not good for you.
You want to be able to be uncomfortably honest with the other person, not just surface level honesty. And it's going to save you a lot of pain in the long run if you can be honest from the start with them. Because, a guy looking at another girl's butt is kind of like something that...
Are you using this as a real life example?
Yeah. Well, you? No. Well, sure. But it's like something that, like, a guy's brain is, like, wired to do. If, like, a girl with a nice butt walks by, like, a guy's probably going to go like this and look at her butt. And if you have a relationship where you don't talk about anything, then that girl's probably going to be like, he just looked at her butt. Does that mean my butt sucks? Oh, my gosh. He shouldn't be looking at other butts. That means that he might cheat on me. And, like, this, no more butts. And then this, like, reel of stories starts playing out of your brain. But if you can have an honest communication with the other person, then you could say to somebody, or, like, I remember saying this to you at one point, like, I know you're going to look at other women's butts. Like, let's at least be able to, like, communicate about that. And, like, at least, and then it gets me to a point where I'm like, she did have a great butt. I'm like, let's look at that butt. Let's appreciate that butt. But what I'm saying is that if you can't be that honest, and most people would be so uncomfortable being like, I felt a little insecure when you looked at her butt. Like, does that mean that you don't like my butt? And then he could be like, no, I think you have a great butt, but I also think she has a great butt. For me to not be like... You
might find out that he was just trying to figure out why she set an ice cream or what that was back then.
Right, that too. That could be another thing where it's like, it had nothing to do with, like, him checking her out, but, like, ladies, guys, vice versa, you gotta be able to have a communication where you can speak about the uncomfortable things on your mind so that you free yourself of them and you don't harbor them. It's really, really, really important.
Yep.
Okay, that really helps. We can enjoy butts together. True. Very true. Everybody can enjoy nice butts.
All butts around.
All the butts. Okay, so what do you do to keep your relationship exciting and fresh? So that you don't take each other for granted or get complacent.
I'm curious to hear what Steph says about this.
Oh, really?
I feel like I'm the fresh maker.
Oh, you're the fresh?
I'm the fresh maker.
I keep it pretty fresh.
You keep it fresh on a daily basis, but I'm curious what you do to our relationship specifically.
Yeah.
You're fresh just in general.
Thanks.
Yeah. You're fresh like Will Smith, but I'm talking like...
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
like a huge compliment.
You're welcome.
Like a fresh Prince of Bel-Air. What I like to do to keep the relationship fresh is I like to keep Josh on his toes.
Oh yeah, is that right?
Yes. I love to just mystify you with all of my new, like I'm not, as many of you probably noticed, I'm not the same today as I was yesterday. I am always evolving, I'm always growing, and I'm always excited. So I feel like my personality, my energy keeps things fresh for him because he honestly never knows what I'm about to say or do next.
Oh, so you're saying that just by being you?
By being me, I keep it fresh. That's one thing.
Yeah, okay.
2, I like to keep it fresh by always... I like to have conversations with Josh about how we can grow our relationship. So like when 2017 came in, I said, our relationship is pretty bomb, but... And I know your love languages. I know your love language is touch. And so, what else is your love language? What else could I do? Because my goal in 2017 is to up-level in every area of my life, including relationship. So how can I make my relationship even better? Well, why don't I do the best thing ever and just ask? So a couple things Josh said were, I love baked goods. And I love when I come home to some goodies.
Note to self. Lauren has brought me more baked goods in the last month than Steph.
What? She has. No, but I've up-leveled my baked goods for you.
You've raised them up like 200%. You made me 2
200%.
this year versus 0 last year.
It's barely February.
Hey, alright, just saying.
Okay, so I've been baking more. I bake him stuff sometimes, or buy him little treats when I'm out or when he's at work and he comes home, and then I have something there for him. Sometimes I eat half of it, but I have it there for him. Like when I made you the cookies, I ate at least 6.
I guess you gotta get yours too, you know? It's like important to make sure you're taking care of yourself when you're helping others.
Yeah, but that, another thing that he mentioned to me that he really felt was a love language was that he liked feeling unique. So I've been making it a point to point out his uniqueness and how much I value it, which is something that obviously I see all the time, but I never really spoke about it. So doing that more has been something. And then I just always make sure I give him, a back scratch or back massage as often as possible.
Cool. Coming in for that right now.
There it is.
I think for me, I just always focus on creating an environment for Steph to go be excited in. So it's it's like taking a kid to Chuck E. Cheese. You just gotta find the Chuck E. Cheese and make it a different Chuck E. Cheese all the time.
Yeah, variety.
So it's all up to personality. Like for me, I don't personally think I need a lot of stimulus. I just maybe need a back scratch or some baked goods and I'm good to go. But Steph likes to go places. So for example, she wants to celebrate a small monetary goal we had the other day. And she's excited about it to the point where I thought we celebrated 5 times in the last week. And now I find out she wants to celebrate again. So I'm like, okay, well, I think it's something we can do. So I create an environment for us to go to it. Or I'm going to create an environment for us to go celebrate. And I know for her that means the world. It's something simple. We'll probably go get kombucha. Even though we've got kombucha 5 times this week. But because I use the word celebrate and make it an experience, she's like, yes, we're going to do that? And so it's just about knowing, the little things. The
little things the other person likes.
It doesn't have to be a Gucci bag every time you want to celebrate, but, go get some ice cream, go to kombucha, go walk around the mall. I don't know, whatever. So we just always
Josh bought me Lululemon leggings the other day.
Yeah, that was something nice. Surprise people. Or maybe $5 flowers or go surfing. Just mix it up, go on a hike. Yeah. One day we walked through a field and just walked around through a field of wild grass. but we pretended like we were on an adventure, and that was awesome.
I think it's knowing knowing your partner, because Josh knew when he came home, he was like, Steph, do you want to go on an adventure? And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, you know the words. Like, for him, if I was like, do you want to go on an adventure? He'd be like, all right.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, an adventure?
Wait,
or like he had to celebrate to kombucha, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So, and it's also knowing if there's variety, if you need variety in your relationship or you have enough. Like, for us, like, you know, we have a lot of variety in our lives because of the careers we chose. And before that, we traveled a lot, so we had a lot of variety going on. So I think sometimes we would give to each other by having, you know, less variety and more certainty. But now that we have more certainty and we're here in this home and all that stuff, it's good to have variety. At least for me, it's good to have variety in my gifts and my little mixing it up things.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, do you make a point to have alone time?
Yeah. Well, Steph does more than me.
Like alone time apart from each other, or alone time together?
Oh, okay.
We're like waiting.
I think for me,
we can answer the next question while we wait.
I think she just means alone time together, or apart. I mean, is what
apart. Okay.
Yeah. So I think definitely I make it a point to have alone time. Steph would probably always be right beside me every second of the day if she could, because she doesn't really. She's geared to want to have brothers and sisters. Yeah, separate. So she's geared to always want to have like people around her, whereas I'm more of like a lone wolf and I like to be individualistic.
I don't know.
So it just depends, you know. Like, yes, I've always pushed strongly for alone time. I think if it was Steph's way, there would probably be no alone time. And then every once in a while, she just ends up, you know, alone doing some stuff because it's just what happens. But yeah, so I think
it's good.
It's really like she's learned a lot from doing that. So to answer the question, yes, we do make time for alone time, but it wasn't Steph's natural inclination at first.
Yeah, like
we had to set some boundaries.
I'm talking to my girlfriend Lauren about doing like a girls trip, just so it's just like the two of us, because
that is not alone time.
That's alone from each other.
No, she means like alone by yourself. Like,
oh, okay.
You sit by yourself alone, like in the woods.
But this is a variation. This is Josh's analytical mind, and then my creative brain.
No, she's saying time away from me by yourself. But you're right. There is a need to have time with your girls and time with your guys and whoever. But
but yeah, so when we are separate, we find that we grow in exponentially. And then when we get back together, we grow exponentially. So it's very healing to have time alone, time away from each other.
It's almost kind of scary when Steph has time alone, literally, because I come home and it's like she's amped herself up to a whole other level that I wasn't ready for. I walk in the door and she's like, "You'll never believe what's going on. It's crazy. The whole world's still spinning. This is so cool." And I'm like, wow, I need to just sit down for a minute.
Yeah, I get really creative when I'm
It's cool. I'm excited that she's found that sweet spot in her alone time.
Do you have separate social lives?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, our own different friends.
Again, Steph didn't really understand that concept when she first moved to California. So it's been a good learning experience, you know, and it's been good. Like, I didn't really think much about it at the time, but I think Steph grew into that where now she has her little crew of women, and I'm developing my crew of guys, and it's building, you know, so it's cool. And I really made sure that was something that did happen, and it's okay if it's like everybody has the same friends as well, but I feel like it's just cool to have like your posse to go be your individual self with and still be like your whole unique self, and they can be their whole unique self. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think
you can get lost in each other, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's cool, like, if you put the intention out that all your friends can intermingle if that does occur, but it doesn't have to be like a necessary like push to make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, like my friends do come over now, they all get along with Steph great, but I don't think they really desire to have Steph interact every time for them to hang out with me. Or Steph's friends don't have to desire me to be around and hang out with her. It's just flows naturally.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think it's cool though. It's really important to have separate groups.
Do you have daily habits that keep you in sync? That's a good question. I gotta think about that.
Keep us in sync, like, I guess, together.
Yeah, like connected.
We only have one car.
That keeps us in sync.
It kind of works.
Let's see. I don't know if we actually do. I think we have a lot of things that happen like just naturally, like they naturally, organically happen.
Yeah.
Like every time that we both come home and we're both here, or we go out somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so like something we do in sync a lot is we go get freeze.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's cold pressed juice made into ice cream. So it's like a healthy
awesome,
ice cream with like very low sugar,
So
whatever.
good.
I'm like selling freeze right now.
Yeah. Basically, we go out to have treats together.
We do that, or we'll we just go places together. We hang out here together a lot.
But I think to answer your question, we don't really have like a
Not as
like a habit.
specific.
It's more like a desire.
Yeah,
It's more like a desire in the sense that, like,
it's like an intention.
I know that I've been away for 5 or 6 hours, so I really want to be around her. So we create maybe habits of like going to enjoy stuff, together.
Yeah.
Like testing out new restaurants or trying new experiences, like with Food World or like going out on adventures.
And I'd say we have had like certain times in our relationship we've had more like structured things we would do, and I think right now we don't quite, but we ebb and flow with it depending
I don't
on.
think we've ever had a structured thing we've done.
Really? I
No.
feel like.
When have we ever had a structure since I've known you? I mean, other than, I guess working out was our one habit that we had when she was working out with me more.
Yeah.
There was a habit there. And then,
No, I feel like we have though. I just can't think of it.
yeah. But
I don't know.
I think that if you're asking if that's healthy or not, that's a good thing to do, is to set a date once a week, or to set maybe like an intention of let's go experience, let's celebrate twice a week or something just random, like maybe meet for kombucha or go get some ice cream, something silly, or watch a movie once a week and go on a dinner date once a week.
Oh, here's one too. Did you finish?
I was just kind of
You're just
going
flowing with it. Okay. Something that we do not every single like night, but we generally like to go to bed together. Like we like to go to bed at the same time.
Yeah.
So he likes to stay up late. I like to go to bed early, but something that does keep us in sync is falling asleep together. It's just something we love to do.
No, it's really Steph just waits for me to get in bed.
I'm like, I'm so tired. Is he sleep yet? I fell asleep. Oh, good. We can go to bed together.
She like wakes up at like 10:30 or 11. Oh wait. Yeah. I'm just kidding. We love going to bed together. It's like we always start the night off together. But I feel like that's our time together is when we're about to go to sleep. We put some intentions out, we pray, and have fun.
I thought of one of them. For a really long time, like when we were traveling, something that we would always do is stretch every night together. Like no matter whose house we were at or where we were staying or where we were living, we'd get on the floor and instead of like what most people watch TV, we would stretch together. And we would talk and communicate and connect.
Definitely.
So when you fall out of sync, how do you get back?
We just, I mean, for me, I just kind of spend time with Steph. Like when we fall out of sync, I feel like it's usually because we're not spending time speaking each other's love language. So for me, I just spend time with her, which I guess seems intuitive to me now. And now I think about it, that's me, but that is me appealing to her love language. So if she just gives me a back rub, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Kind of joking, but like serious again.
Oh, I was like really thinking about it. I wasn't hearing you. I'm sorry.
But I think you just like we fall out of sync. We talk about it. Again, open communication.
Communicate.
I know for me, I focus on her love language. So if she's out of sync with me, I just take her to get some new food that she's never had before.
Basically, just make me excited about something.
I love you.
One of our inside jokes, which is actually a real thing, is that whenever Josh speaks about food, I'm just like, oh, I love you. I don't know. I like do it without even realizing I'm doing it.
It's pretty funny.
I get really lovey when food's involved.
Yeah. So I think that ultimately it's just a matter of talking about it, and also like little surprises. Like maybe I'll bring her a bouquet of flowers. I think that's really cool.
Oh, cool. Jesse says, this is awesome. You're actually demystifying relationships. It's all about honest communication and letting it flow. Yeah, definitely.
That's cool.
Definitely.
Nice.
Yeah, your intuition will for sure tell you what you need to do or what needs to happen.
Yeah, and I think maybe like to dig into what some people think, it's not to speak directly to anybody in the course, but just people in general. I know where I used to think is if you come from a place of fear in the relationship of how to reconnect, then you might do something that compromises you based on the fear that person's going to leave or that you're not enough for that person. And so it's really important to come to that place of knowing you're enough. Thus, your intuition will guide you to get a thing of flowers for, Steph, or intuition will guide me to say, hey, let's go eat burgers tonight. And in the past, I might have done that from a place of like, get way too big a bouquet of flowers, or gone out to dinner way too many times in a month, and so didn't support my monetary income. That kind of stuff. So there's like a big difference between...
And the other person can feel it.
Yeah.
You're just like trying to make it better instead of like wanting to make it better.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it sweet and fun and balanced. So it's like, that's something that you can't, I don't think anybody can really teach anybody. It's more like a knowing, but I think that the root of that is knowing that you're enough, and knowing that if you just don't operate from fear, but yet operate from a place of just being your best self, you'll know what to do, and you'll understand the best way to reconnect with that person.
I've had another answer to one of your previous questions too, which was like, how do you keep it fresh? And another thing I do is I step in my feminine more, which means I be more womanly and more feminine in what I do, because I find that that's something that really attracts Josh. And a lot of times I'm in my masculine because I'm like a businesswoman and I'm a creator and I'm like whatever. But if I'm like very like feminine,
that's right. I love it.
That keeps it fresh.
Nothing like cute. Very feminine. No, it's so true though. I mean, I think it's easy for guys a lot of times who maybe don't always know their role in a masculine role. Like that's something that I used to struggle with back in the day, to step into that masculine role. It's easy for guys to fall into their feminine and let the woman take over. So it's good to always acknowledge that too, and be like, if you're a girl, let the guy step into his masculine, and you can kind of facilitate that. And if you're a guy, let the girl be in her feminine some, and you step in the masculine. I think that really plays like the inner primal drive of what this earth game is. What we are is like human suit beings running around. It's like it just stimulates us in a certain way that we're more attracted to each other. That doesn't mean you have to go around being, super feminine or super macho, like all that. I'm not trying to say pick a sex and be like, this is the way it's got to be, but just make sure you allow those balances to be restored at times. I kind of feel like Steph and I are very equal in a lot of ways. Like she's got a lot of masculine energy, I have a lot of feminine energy, and it works out just fine. We're a very balanced couple, but there's times when I need to step into my masculinity, and she needs to step in her femininity, and just let that balance flow in a different way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So another question we had
so
was
fresh.
How do you communicate when you have a disagreement? This is...
I win. Steph usually says, you're good.
You're good. You're good.
I need some water. I'll keep it going.
Can you get me some too?
You just use mine.
You guys are about to see the answer to this question. So how do we communicate when we're in a disagreement? Well, it's radical honesty. It's being able to explain how we really feel instead of blame the other person. So a big part of it is saying not like, you did this, or you made me feel this way, or you. It's being like, I feel this way and I'm allowing myself to feel insecure. I'm allowing myself to feel hurt. I'm allowing myself to feel sad. And it's not putting it on the other person. It's fully taking responsibility for how you feel. But having open communication. Another thing that we said about this before was that how do we communicate in a healthy way when we're in a disagreement? We step outside. And sometimes that is really hard to do, and I cannot say that we always do it or I always do it. but it's one of the best things and the easiest ways to diffuse a serious disagreement is to look at yourself from above. Like, you're up here and you're watching you and you have a disagreement, and then you see it from that space and you just be like, how can I just love them? How can I just be in love? How can I just love myself? And how can I lost my other thought on that, which felt smart.
Remove the bricks from your arms?
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I mean, we always look at as arguments as a chance to grow and catalyze ourselves more. So that radical honesty or the honest communication is huge. And I think that when you come to that place, I think I was talking to Joy the other day. We were just addressing the idea that the issue is never the issue. So if you can realize that, then whenever you're having an argument, if you can keep that idea in mind, whatever you're arguing about probably is not the real issue, thus you can step back from it, as Steph was saying, or step away and say, okay, what's the real issue here? The issue is right now that the last piece of pizza just got eaten and I'm pissed. You know, that's what Steph gets mad at me about.
I don't eat pizza.
The last piece of pizza's gone. She's like, you didn't say it for me. You know, so we're arguing, but the root is maybe that person's afraid of their not having enough money that week, so the pizza got eaten, and thus they feel like they're really like venting that they're scared they're going to run out of money and not have food, which is not a reality at all. But that might be an issue that has led to this crazy fight. Mm-hmm. You know, or like, you know, people borrowing each other's clothing, and then all of a sudden somebody gets mad because somebody borrowed some clothing or something and give it back, and the real issue is they got a deeper issue there. They're afraid of not being able to trust people, and so it's just kind of navigating that.
Or like the example that we had heard the other day was the toilet paper roll. Like, they were like, I can't believe you put the toilet paper roll on the wrong way, and they like flip out. And it's not about the toilet paper roll. It's about like the 30 other things that they didn't communicate with you about that led up to that point. Mm-hmm. And then, oops, the toilet paper roll got put on wrong, and so that's what I'm gonna get pissed about. So no, yeah, the issue's never the issue.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely see that. I mean, it's like, that's probably the biggest thing to grow in.
Communication, again. Yeah. Really communicating ahead of time. That's huge.
Yeah, the biggest thing to be able to grow is just communicating. And communicating. And just allowing yourself also to, like, take grace in the other person. You know, it's important that we realize that other person is usually growing as well. So if you can just see that from a standpoint where you're letting them vent and not being attached to it. I think the thing that I touched on with Joy the other day we were talking was, if you don't allow your emotions to be attached to your expectations, then you never really get mad about anything. You never get hurt, because you won't have an expectation that doesn't get met, in a sense. Or I'm sorry, if your expectations don't get met, your emotions won't take over and like fuel that fire. So it will just allow you to be more graceful to people. You know, if you don't have an expectation that person's not going to eat the last piece of pizza, or if you, at least with your expectation, if it is that they're not going to eat it, and then they do eat it, don't have the emotion attached to that. Thus, it won't conjure up this other issue.
Mm-hmm. When you're frustrated with the other person, how do you go about working through that? Honest communication, saying it to them, talking to them, not suppressing it.
When you're frustrated with the other person?
Yeah. How do you go about when you're frustrated with the other person, how do you go about working through that? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's cool. I mean,
tell them.
Communicating it to them, and
it's not the easiest thing to tell somebody, hey, I don't like the way you've been doing this, or you did this and it really is upsetting me. But again, that's like, you got to take responsibility. That's upsetting me because of something in me. And I always see that, like, the little things that I get upset about, like Josh said, the issue is never the issue. If I'm upset over something, then it's like, if the circumstances were different, I would have I would feel completely different. Like, sometimes Josh will make a joke, and I'll be like, that's so funny. And then, like, other times Josh will make the same joke, and I'll be like, what? What did you say to me?
Yeah.
What?
Turns into like World War IV.
And it's like, it's not what he said, it's how I was feeling. So it's like, was I feeling insecure? So yeah, I took it differently. It's just, it's you. Like, taking ownership for you, feeling responsibility for you, and then communicating it to them in a space of like, look, I know you didn't really do anything, but I'm really feeling this way, and I want to shift it, so let me explain how I'm feeling.
I also want to say that I think the underlying theme of healthy relationships is honest communication, but I also feel that things don't always have to be spoken. Like, I personally believe that I'm really good at letting go in a different way than a lot of people. So for me, if I sit with something, if I meditate on it, if I digest it, and I say, you know what, the way Steph always drinks the last cup of water and doesn't fill up the Brita pitcher might like not be a big deal. But in that moment, as Steph was saying, it could be a big deal. But maybe I just let that go forever, and I don't ever choose to focus on that. What I choose to focus on is that she's able to use the Brita filter just great, and she just loves drinking water, and that's it. So there's also that angle. Like, you can transmute your frustration without having to communicate if you're willing to focus on the good and the positive and let that go. But if you're in that space where it just keeps lingering and lingering and lingering, then it's good to let it out. Mm-hmm. I just want to make it clear, you don't have to always tell your significant other every little thing that comes up, unless that's what they're into. Some people like really get into that with their relationships. Mm-hmm. Other ones, like, I don't always want Steph to tell me everything I'm doing wrong. Some just want her to just like let it go and know that that's just me.
Yeah, like sometimes it's like you gotta just be like, this is like a me thing. This is like really personal, and like let me work through this.
Yeah.
On my own. Okay. What is something you do to keep your communication open and fluid?
I think we hang out a lot.
Yeah.
Like, we definitely spend a lot of
time
together.
We talk about stuff.
Yeah.
That was the obvious answer.
What?
Mine.
Oh, we talk about stuff.
Stuff. How do you keep your communication open and fluid? But when we're together, we talk about everything. Like, there's nothing off limits for us. So.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, too, is the way you keep it flowing is just to not have anything be off limits. That's when I notice relationships get stuck, is when you're afraid of insulting or offending another person.
Oh, that sucks. Like, that kind of relationship sucks.
You know,
you gotta walk on eggshells.
It kind of walks that line, though.
You can't be yourself.
You don't need to pick on people for like a physical thing they can't change necessarily, but maybe you can come to a way where you can realize that physical thing can be lightened and not made like a big issue about, you know. Somebody doesn't like the way like a certain body part looks, or like whatever it is, you know. A lot of people are sensitive to that, and I've seen people bring that subject up in the wrong way, and then people like think that they're self-conscious forever. So it's more like knowing how to deliver it, like certain things that might be heavier, in a way that's fun and playful, and it's always just like, nobody cares, we're all just in this together. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think as long as if you have nothing off limits, then it's great. Like, I noticed there's probably 4 or 5 things that have been semi-off limits for Steph and I talked about over the last 5 years that slowly become in the limit range, or like no limit range.
Yeah.
But I've noticed our relationship gets better after those things become available to talk about. So it's kind of like getting those out earlier, the better.
And by having honest communication, you can explain to the person like those insecurities you may have, and then they get to turn into a joke. And then once they can turn into a joke, they become so much less serious to you. I'll give you a quick example. For me, when I was growing up, I was the tallest girl in the class. So on every sports team I was on, they always gave me the size large t-shirt. So I thought I was huge, and I was just like a normal sized girl. But like all the like popular girls all got like size small, and I was over here with my baggy large t-shirt, and I was like, I must be huge. So I grew up like thinking I was like huge. So I told Josh, I was like, I love feeling tiny. Like, I love anything that makes me feel like I'm just like this like tiny girl. But I was insecure because I feel huge, like large. And after I told him that, it became like the joke of our lives, and it's like one of the funniest continuous jokes that we have, I think. Which is like, we'll be out or something, and I'll like see something, and Josh will be like, I'm tiny! You know, and it's like, we crack up. So the really serious thing that made me feel really insecure all the time, and I was always insecure, am I large, am I huge? Like, it became a joke, and now I know I'm not huge or large. I just know that it's just like funny to be like, I want to, and I'll like play into it now too. Like, I love being tiny, you know?
Yeah.
It's become really fun.
Except when I tried to buy her an extra large T-shirt the other day. It was from
Target.
from the junior section. And I was like, "Can I get this T-shirt for you from the little girl section? I bet they have an extra large." She's like, "No."
It was like it was like a children's section, and it said like bananas over you or something.
Sometimes people just hold on to shit.
And he was like, "Would an extra large fit you?" And I was like, but we laughed.
I'm gonna buy that for your birthday this year.
For who?
For your birthday.
Oh, they said for Roberto. I'm like, we don't know her, Roberto. What is something you do every day to make each other happy? I think we answered that earlier.
Yeah.
Do you guys do a date night once a week or something to keep the fun and excitement up? Or better yet, what is it that you do to keep those up? So I think we pretty much answered that as well. But basically anytime Josh says the word celebration, adventure, or really fun, that turns into a date for us because I get really excited.
Yeah, and Steph pretty much just demands to take her on dates all the time.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you just gotta say what you want.
Like her newest thing is this really nice restaurant out here. She's like, "Will you take me on a date there?"
I'm like, "When are you gonna take me to Fig and Olive?"
I gotta give it to her. You know, it's just
you just gotta plant
demanding
that
what you
seed.
want. And next thing I know, I'm sure I'll be taking her in a week, regardless of whether I wanted to or not.
You gotta ask for what you want.
Can't be mad at that.
But so, you know.
But yeah, we plan a date. Like we try to watch a movie.
We have at least a date a week.
Try to watch a movie
Probably
at least
more.
once a month. We try to have a date at least once a week. But we don't set any specific days.
No specific parameters.
I think a lot of people that does work for though. So maybe if it feels like good to you, set a date.
Yeah.
Like
we have
every Thursday or something.
A different schedule than a lot of couples.
Yeah.
If a couple's doing 9 to 5, they might schedule their dates, but.
I just think if you want to set a day, cool. If you don't want to set a day, it's totally cool. Either way, it doesn't matter. But we try to go on a date once or twice a week and just spend time together.
We get freeze a lot.
The more you can spend time together, like on things.
Consider everything a date.
That's still not true though. We've been on like 80 dates in the last month, and then now you're mad because I haven't taken you on a date, and you want to go to Fig and Olive. So I just want you to
that's a different kind of date.
I want you to hear the contradiction that's going on right now. I think everything's a date. But you've been taking me on a date.
No, there's different levels of dates. Do you need me to make you a printout, a handout?
I feel like the girls.
I can go on Canva.
I feel like the girls are going to side with you on this one.
They are, right, girls?
Yeah. And they're going to be like,
there's fancy dates and then there's non-fancy dates. There's like kombucha and freeze dates, and then there's like Fig and Olive, I'm wearing heels and a dress dates.
So maybe this is good that we get this out now, that there are different layers of dates. It's important that you guys communicate that as well.
You gotta have all your dates.
If you have this belief system that there's different layers of dates,
you should communicate and
find
out.
In my opinion, going to get freeze is just as cool as going to a fancy restaurant. That's just how I view the world. I'm not saying that it has to be that way for everybody.
Yeah, so it's cool, but sometimes I just want to get dressed up and feel fancy.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, it's important. Like, Jason would probably side me on this more.
Jason, yeah.
I feel like he's going to be like, yeah, go get some ice cream and call it a day.
What do you think, Jason?
But I think either way, it's like just talk about it so like people know each other know like what the expectations are. So you can decide if you feel like glad to meet those expectations. Like I would love to take her to Fig and Olive, which is a really nice restaurant, but I hadn't really thought of it like that. Like the season we're in right now is doing a lot of small things because we're very immersed in our work, and so I figured going to freeze was enough. And now I'm hearing that she desires another kind of date, so I'm cool with that, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, final question. What do you do to inspire each other? Goodness, what a good question. I would say that we just naturally, organically inspire each other. We picked each other because we're really interesting people.
Dating hierarchy. Yep.
Dating hierarchy.
That could be a whole other world in itself, man.
I'm going to make a handout, a printout for that. Just for you, just for me. Just so you know what my dating hierarchy is.
Me and Jason from the guy side, we're bringing.
You could make one for me.
Heck
so
yeah, we're bringing in a dating hierarchy too.
Okay, cool.
Ours starts with like watching TV together.
Bag scratch.
Yeah.
Freeze.
No, I think we're gonna come up with some pretty rad stuff to do too. Skydiving, mountain biking, all that.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you do to inspire each other? Well, I was kind of saying that, like, I just feel like I picked somebody inspirational on purpose. So I would say the things you do that inspire me are like how you live your life on a daily basis. Like, I like your brain. Like, I think your brain is really inspiring. And you always say things to me or say things, and I'm just like, oh, that is smart, or that is exciting, or it makes me think differently. And just you being who you are naturally has, like, will just, like, kind of, like, trickle feed me throughout the day of inspiration.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. I mean, I feel the same. I think in the spirit of inspiration, in the root of that would be, in my opinion, when you inspire somebody, you're just being your best self and letting them see that. And Steph does that really good by always just following her passion, following her heart, and it inspires me to do the same. And so I think it's really cool. I think we really just be ourselves, and it kind of triggers those other desires that we might have deep inside of us to be more like that person. And sometimes too, it's like we will give each other love in a certain way that I think because there's a very fine line. We talk a lot about this with our private clients that come to stay with us. There's a big difference between motivating and inspiring people. And so for me, like, motivating would be like getting up and waking up and be like, Steph, it's gonna be the best day ever. You're gonna absolutely love it. Like, you got so much going for you. Just get up and, like, let's create these awesome programs. Let's get our work done today and let's go have some fun. And that to me is kind of like motivating somebody. And there's definitely some hints of inspiration in there. But inspiring comes from, like, truly just being your best self and making sure all your highest levels are being hit, and then the other people want to rise up with you. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like speaking to them or coaching them, but just inspiring them by being awesome. So I just feel like in that world we just are being our best selves all the time. That we're all learning and growing together. So some things aren't so inspiring for me to Steph, I'm sure. But
yeah, I would say it's living in your highest joy.
Yeah.
Being as happy as you can possibly be, and not, like, forcing yourself to be happy, but, like, literally just, like, seeing every challenge and just being like, what's the gift? What's the gift? What's the gift?
Yeah.
So just being in your highest, happiest, the best you can be, and seeing the best in everything. Is just really inspiring to the other person. I feel like just whenever I'm in my power, he's inspired. Whenever he's in his power, I'm inspired. So.
Well, and I think what I was going with that real quick, the motivation versus inspiration and being love. So motivating is speaking at somebody and getting them fired up. That takes a lot of energy sometimes. And so when you're just being the ultimate unconditional love and acceptance of somebody, then you are inspiring them as well. So it's either being your highest self or giving them an unconditional love that accepts them for the quirky, goofy person they are.
Good answer.
And that allows...
Your answer inspired me.
Yeah. That allows a lot of room for inspiration.
Yeah. So, guys, thank you so much for asking these questions. We are honored and totally blessed that you picked us as an inspiring couple.
Yeah, it really means a lot.
That you wanted to learn from, and we're just blessed to be able to do this. So, thank you.
So much fun. Yeah.
You are awesome. We hope that this has sent your future relationship into a really, really good place.
I can't wait to meet your future significant others too, because I really,
Me too.
the more that we continue
so
to grow
fun.
and all of our friends find their soulmates and aligning with the people they want to spend their time with, it's just cool to see they teach us so much as well. So I'm looking forward to us getting to learn from you all.
Yeah. Yay! All right, thanks guys. We'll see you in a video soon or in a post soon. But thanks again. We love you.
Yeah, I love you all. Have a great night or day or wherever you are. Peace.
See ya.
Uh-oh. We're still here. The awkward moment.
Please help me record.